We gather together to talk points and miles on Dugroz reports on Thanksgiving Day, discussing epic value or looking at a statue. Give thanks for the rewards on this special day. 5, 4, 3. Hi, everybody. Dugroz here with Dugroz Reports. Welcome to a very special Thanksgiving Day hangout live stream. Let's just get together. Let's fellowship, sort of like you have friends and family over. You're sort of like my online friends and family. So come on over, hang out. We'll have some fellowship and whatnot. Today is November the 27th, 2025, and I'm reporting live from my house. So this does not replace the normal Saturday morning live stream. I have every intention of pursuing that this coming Thursday. But I thought, hey, probably a lot of people don't have anything going on in the morning. You know, Thanksgiving meals not till noon or 1 o'clock. So why not dive in? I see some people coming to hang out, include Dad on a Mission, Estine, Miami. Don't think we've met before. Good to see you. Happy to see you on board today. Matthew Smith. Don't know if we've met or not. I'll probably have some different audience members than I normally have on a Saturday morning. John D'Amico, how you doing? Says happy Thanksgiving, Doug. Thank you very much. And happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Dad on a Mission's been a member for 11 months. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Dad on a Mission. I appreciate that. Key is here from Kiki Adventures. I'm hanging. Awesome. Mr. PDX Beach says, hello, Mr. Douglas. Happy Thanksgiving, sir. Happy Thanksgiving to you. And happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. Since this is a holiday, I decided this will just be for fun, not a money-making venture. So I don't have monetization turned on. So there shouldn't be any commercials during today's live stream. I may or may not turn it on after the fact. Haven't decided on that. But if you are feeling in the giving spirit, you can always do a couple different things. Drop a super chat, super sticker. Any amount's fine, even if it's $1. There's also a tip jar in the link down below that helps support my channel. Thank you to everyone on board. Tesla road trips included, 19 people. So what I'm going to do today is just hang out. We're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about in the world of points and miles, cash back, etc. Let's keep it kind of on topic. I mean, if you want to just ask a quick off-topic question, I won't be offended or anything. But I don't want to go, down a path where we spend 20 minutes talking NFL football or something like that, even though I know there are certainly games today. The Packers and Lions play the Thanksgiving turkey leg game on Fox. New Again has arrived, says, whoa, Dugroz on Thanksgiving. It's a Festivus miracle. Wipes a tear. Yeah, absolutely. Chad Pennycoff's arrived. How you doing, Chad? Saw you in the introductory song. All right. Well, what am I going to talk about while I'm waiting for any sort of questions to come online? I'm going to go over my portfolio of credit cards here. Let's see how I can do that. I'll have to share my screen and share a different screen right here. We're going to share that tab. Okay. Does this show everything? Not quite. We got a few things cut off. What if I bigginize it just a little? Does that help? Yep, that does the trick. So this is the Rich with Points website, richwithpoints.com. Hat tip to Rich for providing this whiteboard for those of us who are creators or just want to play around with credit cards. Coming into the month of, I think, October, this is where my portfolio sat at, and I have not updated it since then. Well, I guess I did make one update. Maybe 2 updates. Yeah, maybe this is more like coming into the month of November. So we'll talk about what I have. We'll talk about what I'm getting. We'll talk about what has changed, etc. Mr. DD, if you saw there was a Delta flight you wanted to book or any airline, can you walk us through your process? Oi. I guess I'm Mr. DD probably. And then a follow-up is, do you use any travel tools? Do you look at partner airlines? Do you look for transfer bonuses? That's a hard question to answer. Do I use any travel tools? No. Do I look at partner airlines? Sometimes. Do I look for transfer bonuses? Not necessarily. So My way of doing it is actually not very exciting or interesting. So if I know I want to go somewhere on a certain date, the first priority is going to be the flights I want at the time I want. I'm not bound to that, but that's usually priority number one. So let me just use an example. Giving some consideration, not a for sure, to finishing up strong with Vacasa and staying at a Vacasa in January. Now I've only got 3 days left to book it if that's the case. Hopefully Wyndham's call center is open tomorrow. If not, I might be in trouble. Taking my wife and I down to like Florida or Galveston or something like that in the month of January. So a direct flight is preferred, and living in Des Moines, Iowa, which is not a hub city, there's not a whole lot of direct flights. So like if I want to go to Houston, the only option is United. If I want to go to Miami, the only option is American. If I want to go to a handful of other places, Allegiant flies out of Des Moines, so I might check that. There's really no ways to get deals on Allegiant, so you either just suck it up and pay the cash price or you don't. With the legacy airlines like Delta, like American, like United, I'll find the flight I want, and then I'll just look at different strategy for booking it. So like American, what would the points price be? Do I have enough points? That's what I would check on. If it's American, I might look at British to see if I can backdoor British Airlines to United. So yeah, I will check for transfer partners and those sorts of things, although I'm not beholden, and then just see which one has the best value. If it's Delta, I'll look at Air France. I'll look at Virgin to see if I book it that way. Sometimes those are long shots. They don't always work out, but it can pan out. Like Des Moines to Atlanta, for example. You can often book with Virgin, not always. I'll check the Chase travel portal. I'm still grandfathered in under the old 1.5 regime, at least as of now. If it's United, I might get a points boost. I might not. With United, I'll check Aeroplan to see if they have it. Sometimes Aeroplan booking United is very disappointing because they'll have like a flight, but not the one you want. So like, it might be, well, if you want to go Des Moines to Chicago and then Chicago to Houston, we have that. But we don't have the flight directly from Des Moines to Houston on the day you want, even though it's right there and it's available. So those are some of the techniques I use. It's more just the knowledge I've kind of built up in my mind of what transfer partner goes where. And then given the fact I live in a very small regional airport, I don't often have a whole lot of options. So the 2 or 3 options I do have, I pretty much have memorized. I hope that answers the question. Got a few more people hopping on board, so I'll go ahead and dive into those questions. Vandersar, how you doing? What would you, excuse me, let me pause for just a moment. 33 people on board. Please click thumbs up. Maybe more people will come on board. Vandersar, this is worth getting the Hawaiian business card before it gets discontinued. And do you have it? I'm assuming, like, what do you think? Is it worth getting the Hawaiian business card before it's discontinued? Not for me, because I'm kind of flush with Atmos right now. I think I have around $250,000. I thought when they still had the Amex over to Hawaii to Alaska transfer deal that I'd end up using it like a lot, but I've only used it once since then. So I have enough to cover kind of my, American through Alaska domestic repositioning flights for a while. Having said that, if you live in a place with lots of Alaska flights or lots of American flights and you think you'll be using it, it very well could be worth it. Just a judgment call there. PDX Beats wants to know this. Do you have any interest in the Mesa card? Math is pretty good, but transfer partner list is lacking. It's on my maybe someday I'll consider it list, but it's not like a super high priority. It's sort of a secondary or tertiary interest, I guess I would say. Carlin Robb, any suggestions on how to spend 7,000 Aeroplan points? I can't find redemptions for flights under 15K. Stranded Aeroplan points. It's kind of bad value, but you can book a hotel through Aeroplan. I think you can book a rental car. So like if you were doing just a repositioning flight or just one of those airport hotels that's not very expensive, like around $100, I think you get close to a penny per point. Don't quote me on that. Every once in a while you'll find a smoking deal, but most of the time you don't. I actually, how like some people will book hotels and rental cars if they're kind of one-offs through their favorite airline. Like the rewards master will book stuff through Delta or American, Lonnie will book through United. I thought about doing that with Aeroplan, but their values just aren't good enough. But if you just want to use up stranded points, that would be a way. I'm assuming you don't have the Aeroplan credit card, because if you did, just buy some travel and then boom, pay yourself back for 1.25 cents per point. That'd be the best, but I wouldn't open a whole new credit card just to take care of 7,000 stranded points. Ron Burns on board. Happy Thanksgiving. Blah, 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 blah. Have to get ready for lunch. David William is here. Happy Thanksgiving, David. And Philmo. Happy Thanksgiving, Doug and everyone. I can't watch, but wishing you all the best. Appreciate it, Philmo. Much appreciated. Favorite Thanksgiving food? Oh, see, that's hard because I don't like Thanksgiving foods in isolation. I like combination. So my favorite combination is white meat turkey, stuffing, and gravy, and then maybe even mashed potatoes, and then kind of mix all those together into one delicious bite. That's my favorite. Jason YT46 is here. Drops a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Jason. Celebrate. I really appreciate it. And here's Jason's question. It says, hey, Dugroz, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. I'm thankful for getting into the game. 4 cards in 3 months. 4 personal cards in 3 months. 2 business, 1 upgrade. 7 sub-cont. Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for being on board. I appreciate it. AZ Fox, also known as Mojo, is here. Good morning, sir. Nuracan, happy Turkey Day to all. Matt Clausen says, howdy, I might go live tonight. Well, why not? A lot of us don't have anything going on. And happy Thanksgiving all. Jason further says, but some constant remarks that not doing a sub 100% of the time makes other cards worthless, but then bragging about getting that extra 1% can be annoying sometimes. I think I know what you're saying. So, like, yeah. If you're not doing a sub 100% of the time, what's the point in having category modifiers? Yeah. And you're right. I have an ideal wallet, but that extra 1% is kind of like, you could probably get better value just doing 2 or 3 sign-up bonuses a year. Having said that, it sounds like you're new-ish in the game. Sometimes you can get a little stuck when you're late mid-game into the late game. I think I've officially entered mid-game. About a year ago, I applied for a city double cash, and they denied me for velocity, so you can get stuck. You're welcome, Key. And then Matt says, surveys went out for a premium Aeroplan card. I did see that. Didn't look like it would really interest me as an Aeroplan user who pays myself back and doesn't necessarily fly Aeroplan. If I'm missing something, please let me know. But the pay yourself back on the premium card and the basic card were identical based on the survey, although that is only a survey and it can certainly change. S. Beery's on board. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for the live stream. No problem. Spartan of Finance says, hey, Doug, happy Turkey Day. Hey, Spartan, thanks. Kevin Hawthorne greets me from Lakeland, Florida, as usual. Thanks, Kevin. And John says, this is a nice surprise, Dugroz. Happy Thanksgiving. Had I known my Thanksgiving plans with family would get wrecked due to sickness, I would be in Des Moines. Oh, sorry about it getting wrecked due to sickness, John. That's a huge bummer. But yeah, we'll have to get together sometime. Cesar is here from sunny Puerto Rico. Happy Thanksgiving, mi hermano. Good to see you, mi hermano. Appreciate it. You were in the very first slide today, if you want to go back and look at it. Flory Jack says happy Thanksgiving and is cheering on the Lions. Kiki likes homemade cranberry sauce or canned. I do not care if it's cranberry sauce at all. Chad's just burned out of chasing subs. I get that. That can get old. Luke is here. Happy Thanksgiving, Luke. You're also in the very first slide today. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on Thursday before last. I did get a little bit of a subscriber bump when I did your live stream, so I really appreciate that. Vincent Pascal is here and says happy Thanksgiving, Dugroz, and gives a $2 super chat. Bing. Score. Celebrate. Thank you so much, Vincent. I really appreciate that. All right. QC man. Happy Turkey Day to you and your family. Doug, did you make any of the sides today? I did not. My wife and sister-in-law, and she has 2 daughters, so they might be involved, I'm not sure, are making all of the goodies today. We also, this is kind of funny, especially if you've seen some of my recent members-only videos about being too poor for points and miles. Somebody who goes to the same school as my children sent my wife a text message and said, you've been nominated to receive a free turkey dinner. Is it okay if we drop that off? And we're like, I don't know. I guess free turkey. Hey, yeah, we'll take it. And then the people that showed up were from like a nonprofit organization that basically gives food to like poor and homeless people. And it's like, oh, I feel kind of guilty accepting this, but I guess somebody nominated. So apparently that dent on the side of our car makes people think we're kind of down and out. John says, "Hi V for the win with prepared a la carte Thanksgiving meal options." Yes, absolutely. And actually, I have a slide here about Hy-Vee that I think I accidentally blew past. Let me share it here. Uh-oh, I accidentally have some slides in there that are not pertinent. Here we are sharing this tab instead. Okay, if you happen to live in a place that has a Thanksgiving nearby, no, I said that wrong. If you happen to live in a place that has a Hy-Vee nearby, the grocery store, tomorrow, Black Friday only, Black Friday only, if you buy any of the gift cards on the screen here, you get a $20 Hy-Vee gift card. You have to spend at least $150. I can't say this for sure, but at least the way it's worked in the past is if you make separate purchases, you can do it over and over and over again. There is no limit. It might be in the fine print. I can't read it. So let's just say hypothetically you bought a $150 Disney gift card with one credit card and just told the cashier I need to use a couple different cards. That's a $20 gift card. Then you bought $150 of Subway. That's a gift card. Another $150 in Texas Roadhouse. That's a gift card. In fact, I think you could do 3 Applebee's, 3 Disney, 3 Dick's Sporting Goods, whatever. So if that benefits you, keep an eye out for that. Historically, although it varies store to store, Hy-Vee does let you use a Hy-Vee gift card to buy third-party gift cards. So you could turn around and use that $20 Hy-Vee gift card to buy a $20 Amazon gift card. I can't say that with certainty, but it is at least hypothetically possible. And you're probably getting fuel saver points on all of those too, which if you know, you know. All right, now back to sharing my whiteboard here. Let's go ahead and just let's just talk it over here. So this is what it looked like going into the month of November for me. Excuse me, got to blow my nose here briefly. If my math is correct, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 1, 34 cards. So that probably needs to be trimmed down a little bit. Now, one thing I like about the Rich with Points site is that you can mess around with it with minimal risk. So what I'm going to do is click here. It says pages, and I'm just going to duplicate this page. And there, it made a duplicate of mine. See, page 10 of 10. So now I can go ahead and move things around, remove things, replace things, and it won't cause any harm. So there has been just a little bit of change. I signed up for a second Ink Unlimited. That's when I had, that miracle happen where I actually got approved. On the same day, I signed up for the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card, which you can see there. I have now met the sign-up bonus on both of these. So these are fully ensconced in my system. There's one addition that has taken place. So let's go ahead and put it on the board here. I'm just going to type in Saver because it's the Saver card from Capital One. And there it is right there. So I need to add that to the portfolio. And anything you see on the screen that has a yellow border is in my name. Anything that has a pink border is in my wife's name, Player 2. A handy feature of Rich with Points is you can just hover over a card, copy style, and then paste the style onto another card, and it'll have the same border, same size, everything. So, let's see here. These are in the way. Let's scooch them over. We'll move Wyndham over there. We'll move my wife's Hawaii Airlines card, and there we go. We got the Saver there hanging out with the other 2 Capital One cards. So this is what it looks like right now. The Saver card hasn't actually arrived yet. That was a very cool thing. And it made me very happy because, as you may know, if you followed along for any length of time on my channel, I have been wanting to get a Saver card just with a sign-up bonus for ages, for like 4 years. And I have this old Venture One card. Actually, it's not that old. It's about 3 years old. I have a Venture One card because I got a sign-up bonus on, I call him Timmy. Timmy is my new Capital One card. He started as a Venture X. My Venture One is 25 years old, and his name is Carl. Less than a year ago, Carl and Timmy switched. So Timmy downgraded to a Venture One. Carl upgraded to a Venture X because that's the one I'm going to keep. I want to keep the one that has the oldest credit history. Timmy's probably going away pretty soon. Although I've wanted to product change Timmy into a Saver for ever since I thought about downgrade, they just won't let me. So I think it's because Saver is on the MasterCard network and Venture One is on the Visa network. That's my theory, at least. So I would do the pre-approval tool every now and then on Capital One and could never get pre-approved for a sign-up bonus. They always give me the Saver for good credit, which basically means the Saver for people who have way too good of credit. Therefore, they don't want you to have a sign-up bonus. But in this recent ad blitz, I got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you're pre-qualified for a new no rewards. I think they call it the Platinum card. Basically, it's like there's 0% for 18 months, no rewards, Capital One card. And combined that with the fact that somebody mentioned in one of their comments, hey, I hadn't been able to get one with a sign-up bonus for a long time, but now they're approving me. I'm like, if they want me to get this new card, maybe they also want me to get the Saver. So I did the pre-approval tool, and sure enough, the only two cards they offered me a sign-up bonus on were that no rewards card and a regular Saver card. And I was like, yes. Not only did it have the spend $500, get the $200 sign-up bonus, it also has a $100 travel portal credit, which I can use, and I think probably combine with my Venture X $300 portal credit. Have any of you tried to combine it yet? It's so new, it's probably not even available yet, but those are the thoughts. So yes, that's how I got the Saver card. That was fairly recent, I think about a week and a half ago, probably Wednesday before last, so a week and 1 day ago. So this is where things sit right now. We're at exactly 35 as far as I can tell. And I'll pause for a moment and catch up on some comments here. Oh, I got a whole bunch. 48 people on board. Keep on clicking the thumbs up button. If you want to drop a 99-cent super chat, I would really appreciate it. Or if you want to put something in the tip jar, I would appreciate that as well. I'll try to remember to refresh it every now and then to check for that. Or if you want to give anonymously, tip jar, link top of the description box. New Again says, what was your velocity when you were denied the double cash last year? Ooh, that was like January of last year, 24. So it's very hard for me to remember, New Again. I do remember when I called Recon, they still gave me a no. And they said, well, you just applied for I think it was a custom cash like 4 months ago. Try to give it at least 6 months and then try again. So I'd had a city card within the prior 6 months. I was probably under 524, but just barely at that point. Sorry, I don't remember exactly. S. Beery celebrated Thanksgiving morning with Casey's breakfast pizza. Didn't feel like making breakfast when I'm cooking all day. That is an excellent way to start your morning. Awesome. I love Casey's pizza. Vincent says the Filmo method equals multipliers don't matter when you get sign-up bonuses. That's right. And in fact, I'm doing a members-only video about that should release in the near future. Hey, why not plug my channel right now? You can become, thanks for the lead in, Vincent. You can become a Dugroz diehard. That's my one and only one channel membership level. For only $3 a month, cancel anytime. I've got over 60 members only videos, 61 plus coming soon. And if you want to only subscribe for a month or two, binge them all and then unsubscribe, I won't mind. If you subscribe while this live stream is happening, there'll be a little celebration link over on the left-hand side. Okay. Chad Pennycuff says Myers is deal right now and it's twice as good for Black Friday. Great. Ron says I drove by the Casey's gas station for the first time earlier this week and thought about the pizza. Oh, you should have stopped, Ron. John says happy Thanksgiving. Go Chiefs to Flory Jack. JWWH22 says happy Thanksgiving, Dugroz. We're doing pot roast Thanksgiving because we've been scarred from dry turkey. Are you a turkey guy or do you guys do something else for the meal? I believe we are going to have both ham and turkey, and that's good. Although I'm very happy with turkey, as long as there's enough gravy. My fear is always going to a place where we're going to run out of gravy. I've had that happen once or twice, and it's like, oh. Luke D. Johnson's here. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Awesome. QC Man says, this is probably about my comment about someone nominated me to receive a free turkey. They think you're poor because all your shirts look similar, so they think you're always wearing the same thing. Yeah, you got me there. David says, I'll get a triple Whopper for Thanksgiving. Ooh, a triple. Have it your way, David. Flory Jack says, I always root for whoever plays the Cowgirls. John likes that. Chad's Money Minutes is here. How you doing, Chad? I think your picture was on the very first slide, so if you want to go back and rewatch the video later, you can see yourself. I'm happy to see you today. Happy for the fellowship we've had. New Again says, I moved to brisket on holidays, but if you can get Cajun deep fried turkey, there's nothing wrong with that. I've never tried that. Chad says the Capital One portal credits will be per card. So do I have to pay for any overage with the saver to use that $100 credit? That makes it a lot lamer if I have to. So I'll have to look for like a hotel room that's just barely over $100 or something like that. I'm going to fly through some of the comments that are not explicitly points and miles. Let's see here. JP says, Happy Thanksgiving. How many pounds does Dugroz plan to gain today? And what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? I'll probably gain 3 or 4 pounds, and turkey combined with stuffing and gravy. QC Man wants to know if the $100 credit can only be used if you pay with Saver. That's what I'm thinking. He responds, yes, you have to select which card you're using when you go to the travel portal. There's a banner at the top. Bum, 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 bum. Well, I would have been happy with just the $200, so that's gravy. If I use it, I use it. If I don't, I don't. But thanks for clarifying that, Chad. Even though it's bad news, I'm glad for the clarification. Luke reminds us that right now, Capital One has an offer for 20x on Viator. Ooh, if you know you got something going on, that's hard to beat. And that's Capital One offers. So that's actually points, not the whole gift card Capital One shopping thing. Hey, thanks for having 46 people on board. Go ahead and click thumbs up if you haven't done yet. Consider a very small super chat. Even though it's a Saturday, even though it's not a Saturday, my standard offer for the $1.49 donation getting you 1,000 points, it has to say $1.49 on the screen, is still open and still applies. Okay, well, let's just take a quick look at more of my folio here. So this is where it stands right now. What are some things that I would like to change, or at least some things I'm thinking about changing? I'm going to go through and eliminate some of the cards that are kind of obvious get rid of cards here to start with. So right here is the Amex Blue Business Cash. My wife has that card, not to be confused with the one right below it and diagonal down to the left, which is the Blue Business Plus, the one that gets MR points. These two cards, the Blue Business Plus, one for him, one for her, will probably stick around forever because worst case scenario, even if I cancel all my other MR earning points, those are the ones that keep my membership reward points alive. This is the one that's just 2% cash back. It applies it as a statement credit. The reason we picked that up is because it had a sign-up bonus. It's business, so it doesn't affect 524, and it was 0% interest for a year. So though I kind of like to be able to spread some large purchases out or just do some arbitrage or some combination of both. If somebody's going to let me, park my money somewhere for a year and not have to pay any interest, I often take them up on the offer. But once that hits its first anniversary, which I think is February or March, that card's going to go away. So boop, bye-bye. Moving on down a little bit, the Hilton card, that's a surpass. That'll probably stick around as long as I'm a Hilton pseudo-loyalist. Right now, I'm moderately happy with it. Still a little upset that the DoubleTree down in San Juan, Puerto Rico gave me my first and third food and dining credit, but they did not give me the middle one because they said their policy is it's only allowed on breakfast. It's not allowed for supper or lunch. Of course, they didn't tell me that in advance. So these will stay forever. Of course, the Freedom and Freedom Flex, my 4 cards that I use to use strategery on rotating categories, those will probably stick around for a long time. Right now, I have a Sapphire Reserve. My wife has a Sapphire Preferred. I'm not sure how hard that is to see because the print's kind of small, but I have to leave it this size to be able to see everything. So this is a Reserve. This is a Preferred. There's really, since we can send points back and forth within the family, there's really no reason for us to have 1, 2, 3 cards. Here's the Business Preferred, which my wife has. Really, one of them is enough. And since I do most of the scheduling, it makes the most sense for myself to keep the card. Although I just realized I've got the Aeroplan cards over here. So if I want to transfer to my wife's Aeroplan account, I got to keep one of these. I think normally most people would say keep the Business Preferred. It's the better choice. The problem is Chase has been having this weird thing recently where the login to my wife's business account gets locked like every week on the dot after she calls in and has it unlocked. I don't know why. For me to call in and unlock, it's not a big deal, but for her, it's like pulling teeth. She just hates making phone calls to banks or credit card companies. And I can't blame her. It's not really her thing. She's very patient with using cards, but servicing them is not great. So I don't like that idea. So for now, I'm going to say let's keep her preferred, keep my reserve, but I'm going to get rid of her business preferred. So there it goes. She has an Ink Business Unlimited, which we got, frankly, just for the sign-up bonus and a year of 0% interest. I think it comes due in like March or April or May, something like that. So at the end of the first year, it's kind of silly to have that. That's awfully extraneous. And then I have duplicates as well. Though one thing that's kind of interesting is I product changed my older Business Unlimited to a Business Cash. So I'm going to go over here and duplicate this card because this Business Unlimited turned into a Business Cash. There we go. And then the one that's a Business Unlimited right now, I'll just let that run out its first year, and then I'll have 2 caches and a Business Unlimited. Do I really need 2 Ink Business Caches once I clear that year? Probably not. I'm not generally buying $25,000 plus worth of office supply stuff. I could. I'm going to think about that one for a while, so I'm going to leave it as is for now. I got in on the Sapphire Reserve renewal before the annual fee went up. So I only paid $550 in like late August, early September. So I have a while to decide. Even though I did a video talking about the edit being more valuable than expected, I think that I'm probably going to downgrade my Sapphire Reserve to a preferred and just use that as a way to, keep around my path to transfer points out. So I'm going to take my wife's Sapphire Preferred. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to change the border color here to yellow. Whoops. I meant paste style, not border color. Paste style. There we go. And then I'll get rid of the reserve and move this guy over here. There we go. So pretend my reserve changed into a preferred. If we go back up here and look at the American Express business card, you're like, why do you have an American Express business green? That's like the lamest card. That was a downgrade from either a business platinum or business gold. I don't remember which. And I'm waiting to re-upgrade it. I actually have an offer right now to upgrade to the business platinum for, I think, 110,000 points. I think I have to do $10,000 a spend, which is not a great upgrade offer, but it's okay. I am willing to pay $95 a year to keep those upgrade, downgrade, available. I'm not going to do it by the end of the year because I just don't have the bandwidth to do quite that much spend right now, but there will come a point where I can. Maybe towards the end of 2026, I could work towards a triple dip or something like that. I do have a Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card, and the goal there is to upgrade that to a Ritz-Carlton in about a year. So probably September of next year, that's where that's headed. So let me just type in the Ritz card here, and we'll copy the style, paste the style, and just, we all know that this Marriott Bonvoy Boundless card turned into a Ritz-Carlton card. So all the more reason not to keep my Sapphire Reserve is because if I have a Ritz and a Sapphire Preferred, that's pretty much good, just as good. There was one time I called the combination of the Ritz, the Sapphire Preferred, and the Aeroplan the triple threat, and I'm kind of leaning that way. The only other thing to consider with Chase or Amex is I have 2 Aeroplan cards, one for myself, one for my wife. The reason I did that is because this year, 2025, I took a big European vacation. Aeroplan's pay yourself back feature is a lifesaver for me, but it caps at 200,000 points per year. So having 2 cards is able to kind of double that, which at 1.25, that would be $2,500 of miscellaneous travel. I had more than $2,500 of miscellaneous travel, so I needed 2 of those cards. Haven't decided if I'm going to keep them both or not. For now, I'm thinking yes. Depending on how hard it is to quickly build up Chase points in the future, that may or may not be a thing. My mom has an Aeroplan card. She's in assisted living. She's not going to be doing traveling anytime soon. So I think she'll be able to gift me some of those points. The way they do their combination of points has been a little more problematic than I had hoped. Long story, has to do with my mom and her not being good at technology and those kind of things. You can't get verified easily. So TBD on that. I'll probably keep both Aeroplan cards for another year, but I'm not sure. So let's scooch some stuff over here, see how we're doing. Like that. We'll bring this guy down here. You know what? Just for the sake of keeping things even, I'm going to go down to 1 business cash. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but there we go. Although that leaves, no, I'm not going to. Let's keep them both. That leaves the extra Aeroplan card here kind of awkwardly hanging out on the side. So I'm not sure what the best way to arrange that is. Maybe something like this looks a little better. All right, we'll pause there for now. We'll get to the other issuers, the non-Chase and Amex issuers, in just a few moments here. But I will now catch up on comments. Let's see. I already went over that. Chad answered the question. Chad says, I nominate Dugroz's Wet Sock Series for YouTube Content Creator Award. Ooh, how do you do that? I don't even know of such a thing. By the way, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but the trophy's still there. It's right there, just over my right shoulder. Apparently, the guy from US Bank, I think his name is John Stern, the CFO, hasn't come down to Des Moines yet to pick up his trophy. Said he was going to. And don't blame me. TH Points Paradise says, Happy Thanksgiving, Dugroz. What was your 524 status when you got approved for the Saver 1? Excellent question. I keep a spreadsheet, so I should be able to answer that quite easily here. Bear with me. I'll give you a little hold music while I look that up. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm at 424 right now, so I was 324 when I applied. Great question, and thanks for the question. I appreciate it. I resized my window by accident. Got to undo that because it's throwing me off. Nope. Oh boy, now I've done it. Okay. Resize. I'm sorry, folks. I know that doesn't make for great YouTube content when I just talk about my technological incompetence. And TH Ports Paradise also gives a $2 super chat. Thank you. He's going long. He's going the distance. Catch. Touchdown. Celebrate. Thanks, Points Paradise. Guna Diver, sup, Dugroz. Happy Thanksgiving. I don't think I've seen you in quite a while. Good to see you. And says congrats on the Saver card. QC Man drops 1 Dugroz Reports membership. Thank you, QC Man. A solid triple. Celebrate. I'm getting my sports metaphors all mixed together here. Juan in MIA says, good morning, Doug and everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Likewise, thank you, Juan. And Fleet Easley is here wishing us happy Thanksgiving. Same to you, Fleet. Thanks for being here. All right, I'll keep going with my what I'm doing with my whiteboard here. Excuse me. I was actually sick earlier this week. All right, so now let's look over here. We have to, should I do Wells Fargo or Capital One? Let's do Wells Fargo. Got to think about it in order. All right, so I have a Signify Business Cash. My wife has a Signify Business Cash. I don't see any reason to have both, so might as well get rid of one of them. I have the Wells Fargo Autograph, and I also have the Wells Fargo Visa Signature Card, also known as the Golden Ponies card. Now, one thing I'd like to just really thank Rich for is keeping the original card art on the Golden Ponies card. Look at how beautiful that is. We don't need this plain red background. So, Rich, let's just leave that card the way it is here on your website. Thanks for doing that. But before I get rid of one of the signifies, probably my wife's, I have to do a little bit of maneuvering because my wife has some Wells Fargo points that are stranded because you can move from a business card to a points card. You can move from a cash card to another cash card under the same owner, but you can't move from a cash card to a points card across ownership. So there's no way for my wife to send her cash rewards over to the autograph as points. So my wife would have to open an autograph or an autograph journey first. So just for the sake of discussion, let's say sometime next year she goes for the autograph card. And we'll make sure it's the correct style here. Paste that. So temporarily, my wife has an autograph, at least temporarily, maybe permanently. Then I can move the rewards trapped on her business cash card over to her autograph, and then I can cancel her business Signify cash card. It'll take the place. There we go. Once she has that, then she can send her points over to me. Actually, one thing I really want to give a lot of props to Wells Fargo for is that they let you share points with anyone as long as you know their card number. So if I'm willing to give my card number to Chad Pennycuff or Luke's Points and Miles or anyone, we can share points. Obviously, I only recommend that if it's someone you're very close with, but it is possible. Another neat thing is technically my old grandfathered Golden Ponies card, the Visa signature card. And for those of you who don't know, that's a grandfathered card that gives 1.5x on flights in the Wells Fargo portal. That's its one and only superpower. Doesn't come in handy often, but when it does, it's a big deal. I paid for all 4 repositioning flights from Des Moines to New York City before we flew to Europe last summer with my Golden Ponies card. That's not where the points started. They started on the autograph and other places, but they ended up on the Golden Ponies card and got 50% more value on flights that I really couldn't get any other way because there was no way to book those with Alaska miles. There's no way to book it with American miles. It ended up coming in very much handy. Because this is a rewards card, I don't have to have an autograph. So if my wife has an autograph, it's silly for me to have an autograph. So I might get rid of my autograph. Plus her autograph would be 0% interest for a year. And then the other thing that I might want to do, haven't decided yet, with, and she might get an autograph journey instead of an autograph. That's sort of a decision to be made. Someday, it's a ways down the road, we'd like to get the Attune card. It would probably be in my wife's name. So I'll keep that as pink border for now. Plus it kind of matches. For a couple reasons. One is there are a few things that you can get 4X on. Bookstores is one of them. You know who codes as a bookstore? Amazon. So if you're debating like the Amazon card or the Amazon business card versus the Attune card, would you rather have 4X transferable points or 5% cash back? I think I'd rather have 4X transferable points. Stay tuned. I'm still making that decision. Wells Fargo doesn't have stellar or amazing transfer partners, but they did just add Virgin. They have Avios, and as Matt Clausen says, once you have an Avios, it's an Avios, and you can transfer to all the other Avios. Air France, KLM, Flying Blue, and they also have Choice at 1 to 2. And I'm thinking Choice might become like my secondary program in the near future, especially since I'm also leaning into City. So getting that wouldn't be a bad idea. And then what's the other thing the Attune has that really attracts me? Let me pull it up here and we can look at it together. Not the Reflect card, although not a terrible card in its own right. 21 months of 0% APR. It's probably a cashback card, is how they classify it. Here it is. Gym memberships, salon, spas. Let's just look at the full panoply of categories here. Self-care. What do they call self-care? That would be beauty and barber shops, gym memberships and fitness studios, health and beauty spas, and massage parlors. The only one I use regularly would be gym membership. Right now, it's 5% cash back on my U.S. Bank Cash Plus. Would you rather have 5% cash or 4X Wells Fargo transferable? I think I'd rather have 4X Wells Fargo transferable. It's not like I'm going to get rid of my cash. So I kind of would have the option of switching back and forth depending on whether I wanted points or cash. So that could be very valuable, and it's a no annual fee card. Sports, recreation, entertainment. Oh boy. Create and collect. Art supplies, camera supplies, hobby and game stores, photo finishing labs, sewing, needlework, fabric. None of that's a big deal. Gardening and floral would basically be nurseries, garden, florists, etc. Other recreation, aquariums, amusement parks, billiard halls, bowling alleys, circuses, carnivals, fortune tellers. A lot of fortune tellers. Dance hall studios, schools, public golf courses, recreation services not elsewhere classified, sports and recreation camps, tourist attractions and exhibits. I wonder what that would be. Like if you go to, like in the United Kingdom, they have, oh shoot, what do they call it? They call it like, this is a listed building with the official like United Kingdom Tourism Bureau. I can't remember the word. Somebody surely knows it. I wonder if those would code as Forex. That'd be pretty cool because normally it codes as nothing at all. It doesn't code as travel, which upsets me. And then when I see like dance hall studios and schools, wouldn't it be funny if they coded like my kid's private school as like a dance hall or studio school and I could get 4X on that? That would be quite amusing. So not some great options, but some options. Pet care, pretty self-explanatory. Sports and recreational equipment. We got bike shops, boats, marinas, motorhomes, sporting goods. Might help you, doesn't help me. Sports and live entertainment, that's pretty self-explanatory. Like we went to the Des Moines Symphony. Theoretically, that should code, although it might code as a nonprofit, which can be problematic. And then streaming, books, movie, those are all pretty self-explanatory. The biggest one being bookstores. Amazon is a bookstore. Many people have told me. I do occasionally buy secondhand records from record stores, so that could come in handy occasionally. So there's the attune. Back to the whiteboard here. So that's probably what I would want it to look like. I can earn the 2x anywhere with Wells Fargo. My wife can get everything you get on the autograph, 3x on dining, 3x on miscellaneous travel, transit, and then the attune for all those random things. Since she would have an autograph, I have golden ponies. We could transfer back and forth as needed, send it to City, send it to Flying Blue, send it wherever you need it to go. And that becomes pretty solid. So that takes care of Wells Fargo. I don't think I can move them as a group. I think I have to move them one at a time. So Wells Fargo. Yeah, now that we've talked about Wells Fargo, I'll pause and catch up on any comments that may be hanging out there. Where were we? Let's see. QC Man gifted that membership. Juan was here. Fleet Easley was here. John drops $1.99 and says, hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done it yet. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Celebrate. Thanks, John, so much. Chad says, hook a brother up. Send me dem points, bro. Yeah, if we both have Wells Fargo cards. Why don't I just read my Wells Fargo card number right now while we're on the live, and you can just do it at your convenience. 1, 2, 3. Oh, maybe not. Dennis says, happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Let's gobble up some points. Absolutely. I love the pun. New Again says 4 more days and I'm under 524. If I can get that CSR 175K offer, goodbye platinum. I checked my wife's offer to see if she would have it. Not that I'm expecting it since she already has the CSP. But there you go. Yeah. By the way, what do you think of my new glasses? I've only had them for about a week now. I think I got them right before last week's live stream. Fleet wants to know this. Regarding Wyndham, any opinion yet about points there after the Vacasa loss? Currently a 100% bonus for 0.65 cents per point. Worst case, in my opinion, is transferring to an airline on a 1 to 2.5 sale for 1.625 cents per point. I hear what you're saying. Tell you what, I am going to get to that Wyndham card in the bottom right-hand corner, and at that time, I'll answer your question. What am I going to do with Wyndham? New Again says 175 on Chase. I only see 125. It is targeted, so you have to open up your Chase app or website and go to that thing on the left with a drop-down menu, and it says like recommended for you. Sometimes it'll have like a red dot or a green dot. Only a few people are. Chad says it doesn't look like Wells has a grocery at 3X. True. I could roll with a couple different options for grocery. I've got my saver down here, which has 3X. And then if I keep City Strata, it has 3X on grocery. City Strata Premier would as well. I'll get to that in a little bit. The Aeroplan cards also do 3X on grocery. I don't actually spend a whole lot on real grocery stores like Hy-Vee, Fairway, Albertsons, King Supers, etc. I do most of our grocery shopping at Walmart. Who am I kidding? My wife does the grocery shopping at Walmart. I just pay the bills. I do a little. I stop and buy a gallon of milk when needed, a loaf of bread. I'll send her a text, say, hey, honey, I'm at Hy-Vee doing some shenanigans. And do you need anything? And then I'll buy what I need to buy. Studio TK, the squirrel himself, or herself, as the case may be, gifted 1 Dugroz Reports membership. That's my squirrel noise. Celebrate. Thanks for the support, Studio TK. I really appreciate it. Luke D. Johnson's here and says, what do you think about the Capital One duo with player 1 getting the Venture X and player 2 getting the Saver, since player 1 can't get both due to denials? Okay. Yeah, so not me, because I got lucky, but let's say hypothetically we were in that situation. I don't like it because at that point, if it's under 2 different people, the only way to move your points around, I'm holding my wrist rest, which is like a beanbag thing. The only way to move points around is to call. So if Debraz has the Saver and Dugroz has the Venture X, and we need those hard-earned Saver points to go to the Venture X, we have to make a phone call together. And guess who really doesn't like making phone calls? Me. Guess who hates making phone calls? my wife. So I don't love that option. Although if you only did it like once every 2 years, maybe you get away with it. Or maybe you've got a very active player too who's really into the game. I have a passive player too. So there's like the non-participating player too who won't even get on board, and that's a topic for another day. There's the passive player too who's like, look, you put a card in my wallet, write on it groceries and dining, I'll use it, but I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to spend money. That's the situation I'm in. That's totally fine. Then you have the active player too who's like almost a player 1B who's like, yeah, I love points and miles. Let's research all this together. So depends on what situation you're in. If you're lucky enough to have a player 1B, then yeah, go for it. Anything else? I wouldn't, but that's more of a personal decision. Do again confirms that Wells Fargo has no grocery bonus. I see Wells Fargo as both a complement and boost city. Yeah, you can do the choice at 1 to 2 on both of them. That's an option. Wells Fargo has trademarked the name Autograph Journey like 3 years ago. And people like Matt Clausen have been telling us that card is coming, but we don't know when. I'm anxious to see what US Bank does with their hypothetical revision to the altitude reserve. And I'm anxious to see what Wells Fargo does with their autograph journey, or whatever they're going to call it. You know what's an underrated card? The Wells Fargo Connect. Nope, the US Bank Connect. And we're going to get to that in just a few moments here. By the way, can everybody hear me okay? I just realized my microphone was a lot further away than usual. So I'm going to move it in a little closer. Is that better? Too close? Okay, how about right there? Happy middle ground. That's probably better. Happy middle ground right there. Okay, so where were we? I'm going to have a hard time pronouncing this name. I apologize. Rico Perdo Von Trader 121. Hello here. Just too busy making quiche for brunch. No problem. Thanks for feeding the algorithm with a comment. And New Again says to follow up, gonna close the Platy anyway in January. Jump the shark, and Centurions are ridiculous experience now. How about that? I've been thinking about like the over endorsement of lounges. Like when I flew back from Puerto Rico, I stopped at the Priority Pass Lounge in San Juan. It was super lame, other than seeing a friend there. Yeah, there was that episode of Stack Your Points where they had one called A Sad Salad Bar and a Cookie. And it's like, it is getting to that point. I used to be so excited I would go to a whole nother terminal for a sad salad bar. Now I'm like, I had that bad experience last April where I missed my flight on Delta because I got on the wrong shuttle to get from terminal to terminal in LaGuardia because I had to get over to the Capital One Lounge, which is a different terminal. Even where was my layover? Dallas or Denver? Dallas. I stopped at the Capital One Lounge and it was nice. But all I did was grab some food and shove it down my throat and then leave. And I'm like, is lounge access all it's crapped up to be? That's something I'm brewing here. QC Man said, you said you got your saver last week and it still hasn't been delivered. That's taking a while. Yeah, I know I applied for it during John R's live stream and it wouldn't have been yesterday. John, are you still on board? If you are, give me a confirmation. It was a week ago yesterday. So not yesterday, but a week ago yesterday. That's what sounds right. So it's only been a week and 1 day, plus today's Thanksgiving. It's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, according to their little tracker thing, but I don't know how they know how fast or slow the post office is going. QC Man thinks my glasses look great. Thank you very much. They're just a little too narrow. They kind of pinch the side of my head. My old ones were wider, but I'm dealing. Flory says, I would be very cautious about getting the Attune card. A lot of stuff on Amazon does not actually get 4X. It. Also make sure the places you're actually paying for code is the right categories before you get the card. Okay, yeah, I've heard people say that there are some things that code is that way and some that don't. It might have something to do with things that are fulfilled by Amazon versus things that are fulfilled by third parties. If anyone has any insight, let me know. The good news is I know from Matt Clausen and other that at least a lot of stuff on Amazon does. I'm pretty good at strategery and messing around and doing sample purchases and those kind of things. So I would probably be willing to play around with it anyway. Am I remembering that it has 0% cash back for the first year anyway? 0% interest for the first year. Yes, 0% interest for 12 months from purchase, from opening on purchases. So it would be an experiment worth experimenting on in my mind. But thank you for the heads up. I do appreciate it. That is something worth considering. Let's see. New Again says I should be saying Wells Fargo Autograph Beyond. Okay, I was saying Journey, which is already released. Silly me. Y'all knew what I meant. Thank you. Hey, 70 people on board. Wasn't expecting that. Keep on clicking thumbs up. It's 10:21. I got to log off around 11 o'clock Central, so we got about another half hour, 35 minutes to go. New Again also says Loud Whispers informed that it'll be released by spring of 2026. Nuracan says my sister has a saver and her husband has Venture X. She called to transfer saver points to the Venture X. Capital One said they can't due to saver one's cash back and Venture X are mild. Ooh, yeah, that's bad news. And the question is that actually the policy or is this an ignorant customer service rep? Has anybody had a positive data point in this situation? I'd say 7 out of 10 chance this is an ignorant customer service rep. But if you have to call in with your player 2 together and you get a bad customer service rep and you have to hang up and call again, you have to hookah, as the kids say. Do you really want to mess with that? Because, player 2 may not be super happy about that. Fleet Easily says microphone. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Groz. Mr. Roz. R-O-Z is how we do it. Jimmy Duff, that's a funny comment. I actually got some headshots taken recently from a semi-professional photographer who's a friend of mine. And I walked up to her and said, I'm ready for my close-up, Miss So-and-so. She didn't get the reference, but that's okay. If you're watching, Laura, hi. Jimmy Duff says, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Jimmy. Oh, have you just now got on board? I can't remember. Hi, how you doing? QC Man, if you had to add a transfer partner to Capital One or modify one of the partners, like make choice 1 to 2 like the other issuers, what would be your top change for the ecosystem? Ooh, do you want a pie in the sky, never going to happen answer? Or do you want a realistic but hopeful answer? How about both? My pie in the sky answer is I want them to add Hilton 1 to 2. Yeah, I know it's never going to happen because I'm sure Amex has that contract locked down tighter than Alcatraz. But let's just say hypothetically, I would go with adding Hilton at 1 to 2. Think how amazing that would be if you could transfer 1 to 2 to Hilton from both Capital One and Amex. Now, my realistic answer, I don't know what my realistic answer is. What I have to do is go to the transfer partner chart and see who they do and don't have. I'm going to give a hat tip to award.travel. So if you want to look it up, go to the website award.travel and we'll look at this together. It's kind of small, so hard to see, but here's the Capital One column and who they have and who they don't have. So let's see. They have Turkish Miles and Smiles. They have Ava Air Canada Aeroplan. Okay, that's already on there. That's good. Aero Mexico Flying Blue's already on there. Virgin's already on there. These don't really matter to me all that much. We have a variety of Avios, which functionally means you have all the Avios. Emirates and Etihad, JetBlue, Choice, Wyndham, Accor. I prefer. I would like it most. I think if they either move Choice 1 to 2, I think I would like it even better if they moved I prefer 1 to 4. That would make probably the biggest difference for me. So if you're out there listening, Mr. and Mrs. Capital One, that's what I want you to do. Thank you. Hey, that was a great question. Appreciate that, QC, man. John confirmed that when I got my Saver card, it was, in fact, a week ago yesterday. Tampa Travel has arrived with a $1.99 super chat. It says, Happy Turkey Day. I don't think I've seen you in a while, Tampa. Thank you so much. Hello. Da, 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 da. Swish. Celebrate. Thank you very much. Fleet easily agrees with Nuracan. Player 1 would need a Venture 1, or Player 2 needs a Quicksilver to transfer between the two in your sister's case. So if Player 2 had a Saver and a Quicksilver, like the Quicksilver will allow it to go over to somebody else's Venture? That's weird. Catch 631 says, Happy Thanksgiving, all. S. Beery says, Lounge access is not worth it for me. I'm an infrequent traveler, family of 5. Ooh, 5. And if I remember correctly from other display names, your first name is Sally. Is that right? Sally Beery? If I'm wrong, I apologize. Luke says, if you don't have a Ventures Miles card, you can't convert cash back. Okay. So Luke is giving a little twist here to what Fleet said. It wasn't that the... okay, I got it now. I've put all these things together. So if, let's just use me and my wife as an example. I have a Venture X. My wife hypothetically has a Saver. We need to do one of two things. Either I need to add like a Quicksilver so my wife can move her cash back over to my cash back, or my wife would need to add a Venture 1 so she can convert her cash into points and then send it over to my Venture X with a phone call. So one of us needs to do that. Now, Luke is saying, I don't think you can transfer cash to anyone. So he's saying my wife would have to have the Venture 1 or Venture X, one of those, to transfer points to points. I don't personally have any data points, so I'll take your word for it. Thank you so much for providing that, Fleet and Luke. Yankee Man 311 says, Happy Thanksgiving, man. Next year, a big project of mine is entering the city ecosystem. Curious if you had waited a specific amount of time between hard inquiries or had 2+ in the prior 12 months. You mean when I entered? Oh, heavens, Yankee Man. I just straight up don't remember. Unfortunately, I can't share my screen without showing you the last 4 digits. This is like my spreadsheet where I keep every card I've ever had. My first ever city card was in May of 2019, and that was a Rewards Plus card. I was still new to the game. At that point, I had, I think that was the 3rd card I ever got after I got on board with Points and Miles. I got the Amazon card, I got the Amex Blue Cash Preferred, and then I think I got the City Strata. Well, at that time it was the Rewards Plus. It's been product changed to Strata. So that's really not a helpful data point. I apologize because I was so new to the game. Sorry, I can't be more helpful. If anyone else wants to chime in, let me know. I have heard that they are inquiry sensitive. So try to have no more than 2 or 3 inquiries in the prior 12 months if possible. Nuracan said she called various times to her husband or side and it still was a no-go. I'm guessing you have to own the Saver and a Venture of some kind to transfer. That's what it's seeming like as we put all this stuff together. Jimmy Duff drops $4.99. Thanks for all the hard work and insight. You're welcome, Jimmy. Thank you so much. I've run out of analogies, so how about a horse race? He's coming around the final turn. It's Jimmy Duff by a half length. Jimmy Duff wins the Kentucky Derby. Celebrate, celebrate. Thank you so much. QC wants to know, didn't a prisoner escape from Alcatraz back in the day? Maybe Capital One can get Hilton 1-2 after all. Oh, maybe. My understanding is I think there was 1 prison break ever. 3 prisoners broke out. I think 2 of them were caught pretty promptly, but 1 was on the lam for quite a while. Don't quote me on that. New Again says, same here, Doug. That says Doug. Same here, Doug. My player 2 doesn't do complexity, lots of fuss, or more than 1 to 2 subs a year. Chase is perfect for people like that. I agree. Amex is kind of perfect too, because you can resolve most of the things you need to resolve with a chat. So if your player 2 is cool with sharing login information, I just log in and I start talking. S. Beery is, in fact, Sally Beery. Thank you. Good to see you. We need more female representation on board. QC Man says, my realistic Capital One change would be JetBlue 1-1. My unrealistic would be them getting Hyatt 1-1. Are they not 1-1 with JetBlue? What kind of dumbness did they do here? No, they're 5-3. Well, that's silly. Fleet says, my realistic Capital One is them getting a budget airline. Frontier feels about right. Atmos would be the dream. I don't think Atmos is happening because when Apple bought when Alaska bought Hawaiian, they said something like, "We don't want lots of things transferring in." It sounds like they don't even want to be transfer partners with anyone other than Built, from kind of what I've picked up, but weird things have happened before. Back to the whiteboard. Let's do that. Okay, and we'll keep doing some modifications. So we finished up on Wells Fargo. It's time to talk about Capital One. Well, Timmy is pointless. He doesn't have a long credit history. He's not been around very long. He was only born in, where is he? March of 22. So he'll turn 4 years old in March. That's less than my average age of credit. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone, but in my case, my average age of credit will actually improve by canceling Timmy, because my average age of credit is close to 7 years. I think it's 6 years and change. I have a couple very old cards, which I'm planning on keeping. If you're wondering which ones are the very old ones, it's the Wells Fargo Golden Ponies. That was opened up in 2007. The US Bank Cash Plus, which is actually a joint card with my wife and I. They pulled both of our credit. Nobody does that anymore except maybe a few local credit unions. That was opened in 2008. So that one is, they're both coming up on 20 years old, 17 and 18 years old, respectively. And then my oldest card, the grandfather, probably older than some of the people watching right now, is Carl. He was a Venture 1. Now he's a Venture X. And actually, when I first got him, he was a Capital One card. At that time, Capital One only had one card. So you want to know when that was? In the year 2000. I did badly. Let me try again. I need to go up a couple notes. In the year 2000. So Timmy doesn't serve any purpose, so bye-bye Timmy. So there we go. He is gone. I'll just roll with the Venture X and the Saver, and that'll do me for a while. I'll come back later to a discussion of how many premium cards should I be keeping. There's ultra premium. There's 3 on the board right now: the Altitude Reserve, the Capital One Venture X, and the Ritz-Carlton. Although ultra premium, let's just say $300 or more. There's really no Capital One card I need to add. I've seen the surveys about the Saver X, and it doesn't really look all that compelling to me. So that's Capital One. I would mostly be using my Capital One probably for when I'm traveling. I'll just take the Duo with me and put everything on there. Since I track all my expenses carefully, I've gotten to the point where I don't have to maximize every single category on every single card when traveling. For example, when I went to Puerto Rico, I rented a car and I spent $25 whole on gas on the entire trip. It was a fairly fuel efficient car. So yes, I just put that on my Venture X. Could I put in my autograph and got 3X instead of 2X? We're talking 25 points, people. So if I cash out a penny each, that's 25 cents. If I get 3 points each, that's 75 cents. I'm not going to worry about bringing a whole other card and using it to save 75 cents on a trip. By the way, an interesting thing in Puerto Rico, and somebody warned me of this, probably either Cesar or Angel or someone. When you fill up there, like in the lower 48 at least, you walk up to the pump and there's either a tap or an insert, and you put your credit card in and it basically fill up however much you need to, and it charges you the correct amount. Not so in PR. You have to go inside and prepay, and you have to go inside. So I said to the lady something. She's like, "How much do you want to put on it?" And I said, "How do I know if I need to fill the whole thing up?" And she's like, "I got to have an amount." And I'm like, $25? And I just guessed and I nailed it perfectly. Like, it was on the full line, but I just barely got on the full line. So well done, me. Pat myself on the back. But I'm curious, like in Puerto Rico, like when you normally rent a car, do you have to like $25, please? And then you start the car and you're like, you walk back in, $6 more, please. And you shoot a little high and then waste some money. What happens if your tank's completely full and there's $1 left? Does the next guy get $1 of gas for free? Inquiring minds want to know. New Again says, Doug, problem with Amex is you can't send MR points to others. Oh, that's true. That is a good point. If you're cashing out or just using them for like Hilton, then it's okay, because Hilton's one of those programs that actually does it right, where once it gets to the partner, you can send it to whoever you want, however you want. But you're right. If you had a airline or hotel partner that doesn't allow you to share points, problem. Jimmy says, my Discover card is nearly 40 years old. My old Sears card converted to Discover, so hold my beer, Doug. Awesome. Jimmy, have you ever been to any of our creator meetups? It would be fun. We should all someday get on our oldest credit card and then like get into groups, and anybody who's younger than your oldest card has to go stand in a different area, not to segregate them, just to show it's funny when credit cards are older than people. Guna Diver says the Capital One change that would be great is changing from 3 credit pulls to 1. Also get rid of the bucket system. Some people have argued there is no bucket system. That's just a myth. I need a little more lighting. It's gotten pale in here. There we go. Show my Northern European skin here. Do I have very blotchy skin? I'm a blotchy kind of guy, aren't I? That's the disadvantage to being a Caucasian in Iowa in the winter, is you get super pale skin and then you get like pressure or wind and you get all blotchy. QC Man says good La Bamba voice in the year 2000. Dennis says no wonder Rich with Points likes you. He does like me and I like him back, so we have a good symbiotic relationship. We'll have to do some sort of collaboration on something sometime. I've had a couple ideas of like products and innovations and things. Just I'm not good at implementing them. I'm an idea man. Catch 631 says, I just got back from Vegas for a basketball tournament. I only used my Capital One Duo. It worked well for me. And you said the basketball tournament. Which one are you talking about? Was it the one that Iowa State was in? Don't know what it was called. Luke says bucket system is a myth, an old Canadian wives' tale. Canadian. Luke says have to go inside in Ireland as well. Haha. Interesting. That's on my list someday. There's a missionary family heading to Ireland, and I'd like to visit them. I wonder if part of the reason I look so pale is because I chose purple for my background color. What do you guys think would be a good color for me? What would complement my palette well here? I don't think it's purple. Let's try like orangish yellow. Like kind of a pumpkin color. A late Thanksgiving celebration. Let's go with that. Okay. That did absolutely nothing. Oh well. Where were we? New Again says Capital One is too much fuss, but if you like that, great news. They're going through a lot of changes. Expect more fuss, confusion, and uncertainty. Sometimes fuss, confusion, and uncertainty leads to opportunities, though. John says to Luke, happy Thanksgiving. Sleepy Rod says, you were live. It's not Saturday. I didn't get a notification. Sorry, I didn't block notifications. That's just YouTube being dumb. This is just a hangout. It's not taking the place of my Saturday morning live. Jimmy says, I was in PR, but you are surprisingly fast for a big man. I couldn't catch you. I'm very nimble. I'm so sorry that we didn't touch base, Jimmy. And why did I ask you that question? I can't even remember now. Jimmy. Oh, yeah, I was in Puerto Rico. Yeah, has the 40-year-old card. Sorry that we didn't touch base. If you're in South Carolina next year, tap me on the shoulder and say, hi, I'm Jimmy Duff. I'm one of your big fans. Catch says, yeah, it was the Players Era tournament. Saw Kansas and Iowa State both play. Okay, cool. Did Iowa State win that whole thing? I think they won 2 games. Pink and purple are my colors, says Luke. Okay. Here's a random story, and it's a nerdy story. When I was in high school, I was on the debate team. I know you're shocked, right? Doug, I thought you were going to be like starting point guard for the basketball team. No. I was more of a band, debate, and speech kind of guy, surprisingly. And it was policy debate, so 2-man teams. And there were tournaments where there could be a strategy for blowing around, where like if you want to get, let's say you think you're not the best, but you're maybe like the 5th or 6th best team at the tournament, going into the last round, like second to last round, just lose on purpose so that you don't get seeded against the number 1 seed because you don't think you can beat them anyway. So that's what happened to us. We were kind of middle of the road, and a team that was better than us came up against us in the next to last round. It was 2 girls, and they were blowing they were blowing it. They wanted to lose that round on purpose. So my partner and I both wore pink shirts that day. His name was Peter. Still is Peter, and ties, because our high school always wanted us to wear ties. And during one of their speeches, one of the girls just paused in the middle and said, "I would also like to thank the other team for wearing their pink shirts. I find them to be very nice, and they go well with you guys," or something like that. So I'm not sure if that was an insult or an actual compliment or just filibuster to waste time. Very random story. Luke, or it says, New Again asked Luke, what's with the recent trend of you making disparaging comments about Canadian wives? LMAO. Was one your first wife? Is there a TV show I'm unaware of? And Luke says, no, just those weird takes seem to start up north. Oops, forgot to mute. Sorry. Guna Diver is happy that his old Sears card was discontinued by Citi, but it's still working super well after the change to the Citi Thank You MasterCard. Remind me what that does. I can't remember. That Sears card continues strong in 2026 and beyond. Awesome. The Real Housewives of Canada, watch it, but you won't believe a thing. How long has this been going on, says Ian. How you doing, Ian? I logged in around 9:30, so just a bit over an hour. This was impromptu, just decided to have a hangout here. Ketch says in that tournament, Iowa State won all 3 games. They look good. Kansas also won 3 and took 3rd place. We beat, was it Johns Hopkins? Someone. That's not right. By a point. QC man just thinks the girls were mean. They probably were. They were probably from Des Moines Roosevelt or something like that. Back to my portfolio. Let's keep going here. We dealt with Wells Fargo. We dealt with Capital One, Chase, Amex. Let's talk about, well, first of all, we have a oddball here. We have the Hawaiian Airlines card issued by Wyndham and the Wyndham Rewards card. I said that wrong. Hawaiian issued by Barclays and Wyndham issued by Barclays. My wife got that a little under a year ago just to get the sub. Now that Atmos is merging, I don't use it enough to matter. There's no reason to keep that card. So let's just wipe it off the map here. Earlier, Fleet Easily asked, is it worth keeping the Wyndham card now that Vacasa is going away? So whether or not I do a swan song in January, I have seen some uses for Wyndham that are pretty good. And while I don't want to have a whole nother ecosystem, Luke will agree with me on this one. Something I really like about the Wyndham card is that they give you points every year for your auto retention thing rather than a free night certificate. So I don't have to go looking for a Wingate or a Days Inn or a, what's the green one called? Garden something by Wyndham. I don't have to go looking for some Wyndham hotel, a Ramada, just to like, oh, crud, this is expiring in a year. I have to use it. While Wyndham points do expire, they have 2 different expiration benchmarks. One is no activity in 18 months. Well, that's easy. Just buy a stick of gum once a year. Actually, I wouldn't even need that. The automatic 15,000 points you get would keep them fresh. So the only one that matters is the 4-year hard expiration. Am I able to come up with a good use of Wyndham points where I'm going to get at least, say, a penny per point, since I think, as Fleet said earlier, you can frequently buy them around the high 0.6s, 0.7s, low 0.8. So let's say somewhere between 0.65 and 0.85, you can frequently buy them for that much. You're going to get plus-sized value or upsized value, not plus-sized value. That's a whole different thing. That's where you go to Lane Bryant. Hey-o. You didn't hear that. So with Wyndham, let's make it real big here while we're discussing it. Show off some of Rich's features. It's over certain cards. I think there's a bring to the front here. Yeah, bring to the front. There we go. Let's just make it a gigantic Wyndham card while we discuss it. So as it relates to keeping the Wyndham, yeah, I think I'll keep it. I'm either going to have a airport hotel, and use that once every 4 years, or I'm going to stay at a cottage in England. As far as I know, major fingers crossed, their cottages.com partnership is not going away. The parent company of Vacasa and Cottages are 2 different companies. Cottages is owned by Aways. Vacasa is owned by Casago. I know that's confusing because there's some similar names there. So I think that's safe. Can I go to the United Kingdom once every 4 years? Yes. Will I? I sure would like to. So I think I'm going to keep the Wyndham card just because even if I put it in the sock drawer, buy a stick of gum once a year to keep it active at a gas station, of course, and put in a gallon of gas, put in $1 worth of gas once a year and get my free 15,000 points. Those 15,000 points would be worth more than one night at a 1-bedroom cottage. It would be 1-bedroom night plus, because actually with the discount it'll only be 13.5. So as long as that stays the way it is now, that could easily be worth $250 for a $95 annual fee. Yeah, it kind of pays for itself. So I think I probably will keep it. Oops, I turned that into one of my wife's cards by accident. There we go. So I'll keep them tucked down here for now. That's my thought on Wyndham. Back to the comments. What are you most thankful for? Do you mean in points and miles or overall? I'll just give a quick overall because I know this isn't going to necessarily ring everyone's bell, but overall, thankful for Jesus. Thank you for my wife. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my church family. And then in points and miles, probably the community most of all, you guys, because cards are getting devalued left and right. I had to give out the wet sock trophy last week. Where's that? Over there. They're taking away my altitude reserve, but thanks to the community, you guys making donations, watching my videos, it's definitely worth doing. So thank you for bringing that up, Sleepy Rod. That was a great question. Ian wants to know if I will be live Saturday. Yes, I will. And gosh darn, you've got a lot of cards. Hey, I'm working on getting rid of them. Only 35. Does anybody have more than 35? Speak up and let me feel less bad. Player 2 counts. Wyndham has a nice hotel in Honolulu, says Dennis. Absolutely. New Again says, whoa, go easy. Please practice some civility. Also religious folks in here too. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you don't know by now, I am a man of faith, so I'm not going to pretend to not be. What was the about? I didn't. Oh, well, I'll come back to that. All right, let's continue on with the whiteboard here. Yes, I still will be live Saturday. Did I say that? I can't remember if I said that or not. U.S. Bank. It's time to talk U.S. Bank. So right now I have the Altitude Reserve, I have the Cash Plus, and I have the Business Triple Cash. The Business Triple Cash was a one-time play. It's a decent card. It's like 3x on office supply stores, 3x on dining, 3x on gas, which are legitimate business expenses. But as of right now, you can only cash those points out. So I'll be getting rid of the Triple Cash. But wait, I do have one more thought. What if when Wells Fargo introduces transfer partners, they let you combine cash and turn it into points or points into points, kind of like how with Capital One, if you have a cashback card and a points earning card, you can convert the cash back to points. If that's the situation, that changes a lot of things. And then all of a sudden, U.S. Bank could become very valuable, even if they don't have amazing transfer partners, and I don't think they will. Let's just say, for example, they have the exact same transfer partners that Wells Fargo does. If you could get the Business Triple Cash and then sign-up bonus now and then, 3 points on gas, 3 points on office supply, although now I'm thinking about this, I can get this everywhere. 3 points on dining. Okay, that's not that exciting. But other cards. Let's just get rid of the Business Cash. Boop. The Cash Plus. Let's say hypothetically that your 5x on gym memberships and home utilities becomes points, and you can move it over to your Reserve or your Connect and send those out to transfer partners. Who Nelly? If that happens, I guarantee you all of a sudden we're going to see a billion videos on like the top secret way to get 5 points per dollar on everything or something like that. from all the usual suspects. Me included, because how could I not do that? I'm calling it right here. Mark it down. It's Thanksgiving Day, November 27th. I think there's a good chance that'll happen. Now, Cash Plus, am I getting rid of that? Of course not. It's one of my oldest cards. It's a great card. 5% cash back every single month on gym memberships and utilities. Can't be beat. The reserve, what do I do with that? Well, the good news is my annual fee doesn't come up until February, so I've got plenty of time to see what comes down the pipeline in December. They're announcing the altitude reserve changes go into effect on December 15th. No one has officially said yet that that's when the transfer partner is going to be announced, but wouldn't it be dumb if it wasn't? So I'm thinking we'll know the transfer partners in December. Boy, I sure hope so, or that will be a marketing blunder. I sure hope whoever came up with that blunder got fired. Or how's the Simpsons quote go? I sure hope whoever made that blunder gets fired, something like that. So yes, I'm going to get rid of the reserve probably next February after seeing what happens. So I'm going to take it off. But realistically, it's probably going to be a product change. And what am I going to change to? I'm probably going to change to the Altitude Connect card, realistically. So there it is, nice and big. The Altitude Connect gets 4x on gas stations, which is capped at $1,000 per calendar quarter. And it also gets 4x on travel and transit. Now, there's some discussion out there on message boards, and I can't get a straight answer on what exactly codes as travel and transit other than on richwithpoints.com. Somebody put in the comment section, there actually is a comment section on each card, although it's not real full. Somebody commented that they got 4x on Uber and Lyft with this card. So this is going to become the Uber and Lyft card for everyone. I'm calling it right now, November 27th, 2025, if you can use this card for transfer partners. And since it gives points, I really don't see why not. I really want to rotate this 90 degrees, but that'd screw up everything else. So that would be pretty awesome. What I don't know about is like miscellaneous travel, like ferries, boats, toll bridges, Viator, the Hoover Dam parking lot, like with Chase, every parking garage I used in Puerto Rico, well, there was only 2, but I used one of them twice. All 3 instances of parking garage coded as travel with my Chase Aeroplan. Chase is pretty lenient on what codes as travel, though, so I don't know. Does anybody have any data points? John, I think you have this card. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to hear what is what, but probably my altitude reserve will be changing into the Connect most likely. And I'm just going to kind of hold steady with US Bank, although there's some other strategery that can be done in the future if you can combine cash back with points. The only thing left to discuss is Citi, and I'll get to that after quickly checking on the comments here. Luke says, I think I have 44 cards, not counting player 2. Thank you. See, 35 isn't so bad. Ian says, good Lord, I think I'd have an aneurysm with that many. I like to stay under 35. 30 seems about right, and I do have a spreadsheet and track them all. That doesn't mean I'm using all of them. I mean, half of them just sit in the sock drawer all day, every day. Matt says, you expect US Bank to do points and transfers competently? They can barely wake up without breaking something. That's a good point. What I would see is they would announce that you can convert cash back to points, but when you actually try to do it, it completely disappears. Your points disappear. Or they say you have to call in and do it temporarily, just like they've had the temporary problem with duplicate transactions in your checking account showing up for about 6 months now. And they're accidentally giving the wrong amount of points in the altitude reserve for 6 or 7 months last year. I think there's, let me put odds on it. There's a 6 in 10 chance they're going to intend to do that. There's a 6 in 10 chance they will announce it. QC Man says, what are you talking about, Doug? US Bank is going to have every single transfer at great 1 to 2 rates on American Airlines. Incoming. Yeah, I'm sure. Guna Diver has 29 cards. My wife has 9 for a total of 38. We're looking to close 8 cards in 2026. Yeah, don't be afraid to trim them. Thanks for sharing. Ian says that's very true. No chance. No chance they'll do it at all, or no chance they'll do it competently, because those are two very different things. C-Man says that's likely going to be my US bar plan for a year from now too, unless US Bank actually gets good partners. Yeah, the good news is it sounds like we both have time. 5x on travel with the Chase IHG Premier. I know you've said that a few times, Dennis. I think 5x on IHG is only worth about 2.5 points transferable. So not apples to apples, but just one man's opinion. If you're getting more than a penny per point consistently with IHG, then that would be different. Key says, I think I'm at 46 cards, but cutting many soon after the 2026 calendar credits. Yeah, I know you were over 50 for a while. In fact, I think you were way over 50 at one point. So you've already done some serious trimming. John says, I was away heating up Thanksgiving in the oven. What did I miss? I asked about the Altitude Connect. If you have any personal data points related to using this guy for various kinds of travel and transit, like parking garages, ferries, buses, trains, Viator, tours, national parks, those kind of things. Ian says, how many, if any, of your cards in the sock drawer have you ever closed due to inactivity? Key, you too. Oh, well, let's just go ahead and talk about that right now. How many have ever closed due to inactivity? Oh, I've closed lots of cards. I can't show you because, again, I give away my last 4. Let me tell you all the closed cards that I've closed since I got into Points and Miles, and I'm going to count. I closed a US Bank card that had no rewards. In hindsight, I probably should have kept it, but I did because I didn't know any better in 2019. I closed a Commerce Bank card. I closed a Casey's UMB Visa. I closed my US Bank FPG card, Flex Points Gold. I closed my Amex Blue Business Cash. I closed a Chase Ink Unlimited. I closed an Amex Business Green. I closed my Amazon Prime Visa card. I closed the Amex Hilton Business card. I closed the Amex Platinum. I closed the Discover card. I closed the Chase Business Cash, Chase Freedom, Amex Gold, Amex Business Platinum, US Bank Triple Cash Rewards, Player 2's IHG Premier card, Chase Freedom Unlimited, Bank Americard, Chase Ink Business Cash. I think that's 20. Chase IHG Business, Fifth Third Bank, Wells Fargo One Key Plus card for my wife, Amex Business Platinum for my wife, and a State Farm Business Cash. So I've closed 25 cards since 2019. There you go. Now, which ones were sock drawers and which ones weren't, I didn't distinguish. He says, only my Express card, got it right after college, and it closed due to inactivity at some point. Haha, no clue when. Oh, I think I read Ian's question wrong. But hey, you got a fun time hearing all the cards I've closed. How many of your cards have had closed? In other words, passively, involuntarily due to inactivity. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever had a card closed inactivity. I think they've all been proactive closures. So Key says 1 out of 106. Mike says, why don't you have any airline cards, Doug? Yeah, that's a good question. By the way, how you doing, Mike, also known as Miles of Smiles? Good to see you on board. It's the combination of two things. One is I live in a small market airport, so I'm a free agent by nature. And 2, I am an infrequent traveler. So I'm flying somewhere between 3 and 7 times per year. So this year, let's see, I flew in April to upstate New York. I flew this summer to Europe. I flew to Puerto Rico and will fly to see family in Arizona. So that's trips, not repositioning and everything, but only 4 trips. So I'm not flying enough to be worried about potential status related upgrades. If I bought into American and committed to their loyalty program, hoping to get an upgrade 2 or 3 times a year and didn't get it, I'm going to be ticked off. I want a sure thing. Now, there's certainly no harm in getting an airline card just for the sign-up bonus. It's just that when sign-up bonuses come with gardening, with business cards, with working my overall strategy, I would rather sign up for other things. So no philosophical opposition. That's just how it works out for me. I think I did a video once, like, why don't I have more co-branded cards? At least I thought about it. Ian thanks Key. Dennis says Dugroz math never fails. You demand, Doug. Ian wants to know, had closed. Yep, sorry. I fixed myself after Key's comment. New Again says, I have no confidence in U.S. Bank, Doug. Didn't you say you'd rather have 3 points in Citi or Wells Fargo than 4% cash? Yes, I did say that. FYI, Wells Fargo travel definition isn't as robust as Citi or Chase. That's good to know. So yeah, I have said before, 1% is my threshold. So like if I can pick 3x points or 4% cash back, I'm usually going to pick the 3x points. If it's 3x points or 5% cash back, then I'll take the 5% cash back. I do generally feel that way, although there are times I might really need cash back. So for example, if I could take, let's say hypothetically, I don't have either right now. I have the Wells Fargo Attune and the Amazon Prime Visa or the business Amazon card from Amex. There might be times where I'd rather have the cash back, so I'll take the 5%, but flexibility sure is nice. And Wells Fargo plays the game correctly in that you can either take it as cash or move it over to your autograph or golden ponies and use it as points. Key wants to know what Ian's favorite Thanksgiving side dish is to make. Ian's a chef. That's his job, if you didn't know. John says that I have pretty much used the Business Connect for rideshare since it gives a $25 statement credit quarterly and a bit of gas here and there. And just to confirm, John, you do get 4 points per dollar when you use it for ride shares for anything above and beyond your credit amount. Or no, it's a statement credit, so you should get the statement credit plus the points. Help me get a verification there. Happy Thanksgiving, YouTube Experiment. Good to see you on board. Ian says, the one I don't have to make is his favorite Thanksgiving side, or Brussels with mushrooms if I'm cooking it. Great. YouTube Experiment said, I had a card close. Issuing bank went under. It was years ago, though. Next card. I did have a debit card close once due to inactivity. Actually, they closed my whole bank account. I don't remember who that was. I think it was like something of Maryland. It was just a bank account sign-up bonus where I'm like, oh, I need to cancel this. And then I realized, oh, they already canceled it for me. It was SECU of Maryland, I think. Another one was Aspiration Bank. That closed because the company, it didn't really go under. It got bought out by another company, and you would automatically get the new bank account, which I didn't want. So I just allowed them to close it. And then another company called Monifi, Monifi, that went out of business. So no more debit card for them either. Fleet Easily says, my oldest card is a 0 annual fee Bank of America card, accidentally closed about a year ago due to inactivity. It was after I got debt free, but before I got into points a mile, so I didn't know about keeping the oldest alive. Oh, bummer. But hey, stuff happens. At least you won't feel obligated to keep a card you don't want. Ooh, very nice. Brussels and mushroom combo. Ooh, I gotta log off here, folks. So I am going to go ahead and finish my portfolio. I may or may not get to the rest of the comments, and if I don't, I apologize. So I need to talk about the last category, which is Citi. Now, you can see here, if I just do some sliding, they fit over there very nicely, and then I've got one left over. But what am I going to do? Well, there's a couple different options. What I ultimately want to end up with in the long run is a Citi Strata Premier, which is their $95 annual fee card. It unlocks all the transfer partners, and you get 3x on gas, dining, groceries. And then add a double cash. But the way to do that is the thing. So I think the most obvious way to go is that if I can, I should sign up for the Citi Strata Elite and get the sign-up bonus. STRATA. There it is. Okay. Sign up for the Citi Strata Elite, have that for a year, and then do whatever I want to do with it. Now, hopefully they let you downgrade to the Strata Premier. It'd be crazy if they didn't. Strata Elite. City nights. Have you ever had those city nights? 6x on city nights, 3x otherwise on dining. City nights is kind of dumb in my opinion, but it might work out now and then. The dumb thing is I go out for lunch almost every Saturday for lunch. If they did all day Fridays and Saturdays, it would be so much better than just after 6 p.m. Eastern time. I should pick like my 4 favorite restaurants and just like get an authorized user card and just leave it there and say, hey, I had lunch today. Can you just run this after 5 p.m. Central? I'd really appreciate it. But anyhow, I digress. So yeah, I would get the 100,000 point sign up bonus. A year later, I can downgrade it. What I would probably do is keep that as is for the first year and just keep the strata as is for the first year. I know I don't have the double cash, but I could product change one of these custom caches. Don't like to do that because I do have some good strategic opportunities. Thinking about doing that because I'm really into city points right now. I want it more than Capital One points, but I could either get 2x Capital One points with my Venture X, 2x Capital Wells Fargo points on my Signify for my everything else stuff. I still have a business unlimited, so I can get 1.5 everything on Chase. I can get 2 everything on Amex. Just depends on what I want. And then eventually, I would convert it to what I want it to be as my kind of end game for City. So this is what it would look like for a year with the City Strata Elite down here. But eventually, I'm going to product change this to the other Strata, the Strata Premier, STRA. I'm going to put them up here for now. I would turn this into a double cash. Ding. Except I'm going to swap the position here. So product change this into this. Product change this into this. Swap positions just because, I don't know, it feels like the more elite card should be up top. And there we go. So there's sort of like where I want to end up with things. And now I'm back to exactly 30 cards, which feels like the exact manageable amount. Now, we all know that there's likely to never be a single point in time where this ever happens because things are always changing. I'm always getting sign-up bonuses or whatever. But this is the hypothetical where I want things to be. And then with the City setup, City would become my main ecosystem for everyday spend. Everything else would either be a role player or something along those lines. Probably Wells Fargo would become really fairly insignificant. American Express would become fairly insignificant for MR points. I still use my Amex Blue Cash every day because I get $7 off Hulu every month, which we use anyway. Hilton, I would keep that. But otherwise, I wouldn't really use Amex at all. Chase is just for more advanced opportunities, strategery, 5x rotating categories, and when I need Hyatt, that kind of stuff, plus the Aeroplan trick. US Bank is a role player. So pretty much it would become City in first place, Capital One in second place. Kind of in the long run is how things would go. But the great thing is you can actually, kind of keep things the way you want to keep them. That came out in a stupid way. You can always keep ecosystems like Wells Fargo, like US Bank in your back pocket, even if you're not actively using them, is what I'm trying to say. And then I would use my Ritz-Carlton card for paying for airline fees whenever I book travel, the $595 or the $100 or $300 or whatever it is to get the insurance protections. I would then hope, thank you, Key, for telling us, call in and say, hey, can you just apply the credit towards any of these things? And I should at least break even, get a free night certificate, and get excellent insurance protections and lounge access. A good question worth discussing would be, should I keep the Capital One Venture X and the Ritz-Carlton? Yeah, I think that's cool. I don't really see any problem with that. So there you go. There's sort of my hypothetical, theoretical end game. Probably never will actually happen. What do you think? I'm just going to check to see if our guests have started to arrive. If they have, I need to log off. If not, I'll come back on. So this is sort of like a bathroom break. Actually, let's just combine a bathroom break here with me checking to see if our guests have arrived. Feeding the ducks. Copyright-free music. Go. Okay, we back. I have been informed that I have 10 minutes before guests start to arrive. So I have 10 minutes to catch up on comments. Let's see how that goes. All right. We were talking about Ian cooking Brussels sprouts with mushrooms and says, if somebody microwaved me some mac and cheese, I'd be pumped. Anything anyone makes for me is always the best because I'm not making it. I had never considered that viewpoint. I suppose when you're the one constantly cooking food, it's nice to just be eating it. Sleepy Rod says the bar for US bank transfer partners is Wells Fargo. Yeah, I'd say there's a 50-50 chance it's Wells Fargo plus maybe Korean Air since they issue the Korean Air card in the United States. I wouldn't expect anything better than that. Fleet agrees with that. New Game wants to know how long Fleet had no transactions before they closed his card down, and he said it was over 1 year but less than 2. Mike Newland says, now, Doug, Golden Ponies have been retired. Or now, Doug, Golden Ponies have been retired. I'm still thanking Rich for keeping the Golden Ponies card. I think that needs to continue forever if you're watching, Rich. So there, just nice and big, real big. Yep, there it is. That's how it should be forever and a day. Too Easy is saying good morning. Good morning. Hey, caught the very tail end here. Sorry that I haven't been on board a little longer. YouTube says the only feature I'm missing by not having a Wells card to me is being able to transfer 1 point to keep currency alive. That is a good Wells Fargo feature. How many times have we now, unfortunately, they don't have Hyatt. I've had, 997 Hyatt points in my account. It seems like many times, got it. I have to round that down to 0. QC Man says, but that's for the Business Connect, Doug, not the Consumer Connect you'd be getting. I hear the $25 quarterly credit. I agree with you. I speculate that US Bank would count travel on the business as travel on the Connect. In other words, let's say John went to ride a random train in Norway, and his Business Connect coded as travel. I'm guessing the Personal Connect would also code that Norwegian train as travel. So I'm just trying to compare within ecosystems to see how things code. Make sense? Hope it makes sense. Thanking Fleet for concerns about cards being canceled. Background Balloon made it a little late, crying. That's okay. Replays are always available. Kiki says every 6-month purchases are a lot just to keep cards alive. I think you need one every 18 months or so. I stick to one every 6 months, but you don't have to. You can do it whatever you want. The way I do it is New Year's Day and 4th of July. And I don't always get it right on the day, but on New Year's Day, I'll start planning on it, and then I might finish it up around January 10th or so, and then 4th of July I'll start planning on it again. I might not finish till July 15th, but just go through and make sure that every card has a purchase if it hasn't had one in the last couple of months. New Again says only 2 or 3 cards I need to do that for. It's easy with Apple Pay. Awesome. And there's a card I have, the First Capital One, that I only put a banana on once a year, and that seems fine for it. That's fun. Guna Diver says, great stream, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, likewise. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. And New Again says to Fleet, it varies by issuer and specific card is a factor. Don't forget macroeconomic conditions influence bank policy too. That's true. I think banks are more likely to shut you down when the economy's bad. Tico Rico Puntata der Traver says, I'm a city guy for daily. Can I just call you Rico? Would that be allowed? But yes, I'm a city guy for daily now. Also, mi hermano Cesar Joel talked me into that. Background Balloon says, forget the copyright free music. We need a Dugroz spontaneously sings compilation to fill these breaks. Well, I'll have to start recording some. YouTube says, wonder how he got a Venture X card. Maybe early in the game or AU. He meaning me? How did I get a Venture X card? It was not early in the game. It was right when the Venture X came out. I think they were more lenient on approvals at that point because they were wanting to roll out the card to tremendous fanfare. At the time I got it, I had actually kind of laid off on some personal cards for a while. Actually, yeah, I got it in March of 2022, and I hadn't had any personal cards since February of 20. So I was like, I hadn't had any personal cards in the last 2 years at the time I got my Venture X. I'd only had business cards. It was not product chain. Background Balloon says, my California brain thought that inhaler was a vape. Nope, it's for asthma. Albuterol. John confirms, yes, 4X for rideshare on the Business Connect. So I think we can safely assume it would apply to the Personal Connect also. Falls under the travel category. Zezus Christ wants to know if I have any Black Friday purchases coming up. Probably going to be buying some gift cards at Hy-Vee. I mentioned this at the very beginning of the program. They have a special where if you spend $150 on some co-branded gift cards, Disney, Texas Roadhouse, there was a couple other decent ones. Texas Roadhouse isn't good, but there's a couple other decent ones in there. Can't remember what they were. Apple gift cards. You got a $20 Hy-Vee gift card, and Hy-Vee gift card I value it somewhere around 90%. So those are pretty good. Other than that, I don't know. If anybody has any recommendations, let me know. Maybe a new mattress. I'm looking at getting one of those. TBD. Ian says, thanks for starting your turkey day with us, and drops a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Ian. Let's see. What sports analogy have I not used? I don't think I've used hockey yet. There's the slap shot. Goal. Brrr. Celebrate. Thank you, Ian. YouTube Experiment says, I called Discover recently to acquire loading cash at Walmart. Apparently, I needed a newer debit card because it needs the tap to pay feature to work. So my newest card is a replacement Discover debit. Are you actually loading cash or are you loading something else? Ben Bradshaw, 1914 has arrived. How you doing, Ben? It's been a little bit. Thank you for doing this today. Happy Thanksgiving. You're welcome. And I'm going to be wrapping it up within just a couple minutes. So if you want to support the channel, drop a super chat, a tip in the tip jar, or anything like that, you got about 3 more minutes to do so. YouTube Experience says, wow, cool. Yes, I was asking about how you got it. This is the Capital One Venture X. Yep, thanks. I don't know if I could wait 2 years for no inquiries just for their card. I had inquiries, but they were business cards only, so I didn't have any personal cards at that point. New Again says, same here, Doug. I do January and July for those 2 or 3 cards. We're talking about cards that are sock drawer, never have transactions. Usually same day for all, sometimes same business. Yeah, I have done like pull up to a gas tank and put in, half a gallon. New card, half a gallon. New card, half a gallon. Ian says, as a former mattress reviewer, how frequently do you get a new mattress? When I got out of mattress reviewing, the one we had at that time was a great mattress, and we've just kept it ever since. So for like the last 5 years, I've had the same one. What I would recommend to other people is replace your mattress every 7 years or less. And the logic there is there have been some studies on like the buildup of dust mites. It's almost disgusting how much of our human flesh like flakes off in little microscopic bits and gets inside the mattress. So just for sanitary reasons, I would say don't keep a mattress more than 7 years. And I know somebody's going to come at me and say, my grandma had the same mattress for 25 years. QC Man asked the same question. Yeah. Have a good holiday, all says New Again. Awesome. Ian says, YouTube Experiment. That seems suspect since you need a chip at Walmart. Tap to pay doesn't work there. I've never done it myself. New Again says, I'm out. What are Thanksgiving plans for today? My sister-in-law's family's coming over. We're going to eat food together. Then we're probably going to be stuffed, watch a little football, take a nap. They'll leave. I'll take a nap. They'll come back. We'll eat pie, and we'll just have a lot of fun and fellowship, maybe play a board game or 2. Sleepy Rod says, have you seen the Key and Peele mattress shopping skit? No, I do like Key and Peele. Well, let me rephrase that. I like some of their stuff. They're more family-friendly content. Some of it is not family-friendly. I like the one where it's like the East-West Bowl and all the football players have ridiculous names. YouTube says, yes, cash. I help buy groceries for my parents and get reimbursed. It's one of manufactured spending, I suppose. My banks I signed up with don't have a branch here, but I plan to move back closer to banks that have branches. I'm still confused how you can manufacture spend with cash. If you buy groceries for your parents and they give you cash to reimburse you for the groceries, you got the points. And then you just like to load it onto a prepaid card. I would assume the manufactured spending step comes later on down the road. You don't have to discuss it here publicly. You can put it on one of my members only videos if you would like. Because I see you're a member. Thank you for being one. Speaking of members, let's read off who's done what. Oh, we just got an update. Nurakan says, nice surprise live today. Have a great Thanksgiving with the family. Thank you, Nurakan. I appreciate that. How about tennis? It's an ace. Celebrate. Thanks for the $5, Nurakan. All right, here are those who gave or did something. Dad on Mission celebrates 11 months of membership. Jason gave $4.99. Vincent gave $1.99. Tom Graber gave a membership. TH gave $2. QC Man gave a membership. John gave $1.99. Studio TK gave a membership. Tampa Travel gave $1.99. Jimmy Duff gave $4.99. Ian gave $4.99. Nurakan gave $4.99. $4.99 seems to be the popular amount today. And he says, I pay by credit card. They give me cash. I put cash in bank and pay credit card. Okay. I don't consider that to be manufactured spending. I consider that to be strategic spending. So I think we just had a difference of terms. Tio Rico says, just Tio is fine. I don't know why I couldn't get that. T-I-O. Duh. I'm so sorry. But thank you for clearing that up. Thank you, Tio. Dennis Dunn says, have a good one, Doug. I appreciate all of you who came out and attended. Last chance to smash thumbs up, and I appreciate those of you who contributed to the channel especially. I am thankful for each one of you on this Thanksgiving Day. And as always, may your spending be frugal, and may your points be plenteous. Thanks.